Marcus Torres woke to the sound of his own heartbeat. His eyes opened to a red sky, burning and harsh, stretching above him like blood poured across glass. The ground beneath his back was warm, almost hot, rough with crystalline dust that cut into his skin when he moved. He pushed himself up on his elbows, and the world tilted for a moment before settling into focus. The canyon wall surrounded him. Red stone, jagged and ancient, rose up on all sides like teeth waiting to bite. Above, the sky was not the blue of Earth or even the purple of the Coalition space stations. It was red. Everything was red. Marcus looked down at his arms and saw that even his skin appeared red in this light, as if he had been dipped in blood. He stood slowly. His legs were weak, and his head felt full of sand. The oxygen mask hung loose around his neck. When he pulled it up and took a breath, the air was cold and thin and tasted like metal. His name was Marcus Torres. He was a scout for the Terran Military Division of the Galactic Coalition. He was supposed to be gathering geological samples from Kareth 7. He was supposed to have equipment. He was supposed to have a team. He had none of those things. Marcus turned in a slow circle. The canyon stretched out in both directions, empty of anything except stone and shadow. Behind him was a rock face, smooth and vertical. Ahead, the canyon twisted out of sight. There was no ship. There were no supplies. There was no indication that any human had ever set foot in this place except for him. He checked his pockets. He had his uniform, thin gray material designed for comfort and durability. He had a small personal beacon, the size of his palm. He pressed the activation button and held it to his ear. Nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. Dead. The battery was completely dead. A sound came from above. Marcus looked up at the canyon rim. For a moment he saw nothing, then movement. Something large, silhouetted against the red sky. Something dark and four-legged. His hand went to his belt where a weapon should have been. His belt was empty. The thing on the ridge did not move down toward him. It simply stood there, watching. Marcus could not see its face or details. The distance was too great. But he could feel its attention like a weight, like something pressing down on his chest. This was not an animal. This was a predator, and it had noticed him. Marcus moved backward, keeping his eyes on the creature. The canyon wall was hard against his back. The predator did not follow. It simply watched him for another moment, then turned and walked away. Disappearing back over the ridge, Marcus let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. He sat down at the base of the canyon wall and tried to think. The Coalition had decided humans were too fragile. He had read that decision in Captain Voss's eyes before the transport had dropped him and 6 other humans onto the survey team. But Kareth 7 was supposed to be explored. The High Council had approved it. Humans were members of the Coalition, even if they were the newest, the weakest, the most fragile. Voss had looked at him that morning and said, "Stay close to the team, Torres. This world is not forgiving." But he had not stayed close. He had wandered off to examine a rock formation. He had been gone for maybe 30 minutes. When he came back, the landing site was empty. The ship was gone. The team was gone. Only his footprints in the red dust remained, and even those were fading in the thin wind. He had found a note wedged under a rock. Written in Captain Voss's hand, it said, "Torres, Coalition Command has classified this world as too dangerous for human personnel. We have been ordered to evacuate all humans for safety protocols. You were not at the assembly point when we made the count. You will be picked up in 7 days. If you are reading this, you will wait at this location. Do not venture into the canyon system. Do not engage with the native life. Wait. Rescue will come." The note was dated that morning. Marcus checked his wrist chrono. The display flickered and went dark. The batteries in the camp had already been draining. He had no way to know how much time had actually passed. 7 days. The Coalition was giving him 7 days to survive alone on a world full of predators. With no equipment, no weapons, no food, and no water. Marcus stood and moved deeper into the canyon, away from the ridge where the creature had been. He knew he should follow Voss's orders. He should stay at the landing site and wait for rescue. But something told him that waiting in an open area was a better way to die than moving toward shelter. The predator above had not attacked him. It had simply watched. But there might be other creatures. Creatures without the patience or the curiosity of the first one. The canyon narrowed as he walked. The walls grew taller, blocking out more of the red sky. The temperature dropped. Marcus could see marks on the stone walls. Scratches and gouges that might have been made by claws or might have been simple erosion. He did not know this world. He did not know its dangers. All he knew was that the Coalition, in its infinite judgment, had decided he was expendable. After walking for what felt like hours, Marcus found something. The canyon wall had eroded away, creating a shallow cave just large enough for a man to lie down in. It was tucked beneath an overhang that would provide some shelter from the elements and from anything trying to spot him from above. It was not much, but it was better than walking an open canyon where predators could see him. Marcus crawled into the space and sat with his back against the cave wall. His throat was dry. His stomach was empty. He had no plan beyond survival, and he had no confidence that survival was actually possible. But he was alive now, at this moment, breathing the thin air of Kara 7, hidden in a red stone cave, waiting for rescue that might never come. Outside the cave, the red sky was beginning to darken. In the distance, Marcus heard something howl. It was not a sound he had ever heard before, not animal and not machine. It was the sound of something large and dangerous, calling out into the red canyon system. Marcus waited in the darkness and did not answer. Marcus survived the first night by not sleeping. He sat in his cave with his eyes open, listening to the sounds of Kareth 7 as darkness fell complete and total. There were no lights, no bioluminescence, no moon. There was only sound and the terrible absence of light. Things moved in the darkness. He heard them pass his cave. Some were small, skittering like insects. Others were large, their footsteps heavy and deliberate. Nothing tried to enter his shelter. Perhaps the overhang protected him. Perhaps predators on this world did not hunt in the dark. When the red sun returned, Marcus was almost delirious from exhaustion and thirst. He ventured out of the cave carefully. The canyon had changed in his mind during the night. It was no longer just a place of stone. It was a hunting ground, a territory, a world that followed rules he did not understand. He moved slowly, watching, listening, trying to learn those rules before they killed him. It was near midday when he saw the creature again. The predator was hunting in the open ground where the canyon widened. Marcus was hidden behind a cluster of red rock formations, watching from a distance of perhaps 200 meters. The creature moved with a grace that contradicted its size. It was larger than he had realized from the ridge. Its body was long and powerful, built for speed and strength. Its legs were thick, ending in claws that left marks in the dust where it walked. Its head was shaped wrong for any animal Marcus had seen, with angles that suggested intelligence rather than mere instinct. There was a smaller creature ahead of the predator. Marcus could not identify it. It was fast, darting between rocks, trying to escape. The predator followed without rushing. It was patient. It was confident. It knew the outcome was already decided. When the smaller creature made a mistake, when it tried to climb a rock face it could not navigate, the predator moved. The speed was shocking. One moment it was trotting calmly. The next it was a blur of motion. There was a sound, sharp and wet. Then the smaller creature was on the ground, moving only slightly. The predator stopped and approached its kill. But it did not eat. Instead, it circled the dead creature, sniffing, examining. Then it turned and walked away, leaving the body where it fell. It did not need the meat. It had killed for the act of killing, or perhaps simply because this was what predators did on Wrath-7. Marcus realized he was holding his breath. Over the next days, he watched the creature more. He learned its patterns. It hunted in the early morning and late afternoon. It spent the middle of the day resting in the shade of a massive rock formation to the east. It moved through the canyon system with purpose, following routes it clearly knew well. It was the dominant predator in this territory, and everything else avoided it. Marcus also learned to hunt. He had no weapons, but he had hands and a brain. He watched how the smaller creatures moved. He observed where they drank water from a thin stream that ran through the canyon. He waited. When one of the small four-legged animals came to drink, Marcus threw a rock. He missed. He tried again the next day with another animal. This time the rock struck. The creature fell. Marcus grabbed it before it could recover, and he broke its neck the way Voss had taught him during coalition training. That night, Marcus made a fire by striking rocks together until sparks caught on dry plant material. He cooked the meat on hot stones from the fire, and he ate it even though it tasted wrong, even though his stomach wanted to reject it. He drank water from the stream, and he felt, for the first time since being abandoned, like he might actually survive. But on the sixth day, something changed. Marcus saw the large predator only once during that morning hunt, and it was moving wrong. Its front left leg was lifted off the ground. He watched from his hiding place as the creature limped to its resting area. Blood marked the trail. Something had injured it. Marcus knew he should be relieved. An injured predator was a less dangerous predator. But instead, he felt concern. Over the days of watching, he had begun to see the creature not as a monster, but as something more complex. It was intelligent. It was methodical. It was, in a strange way, beautiful in its power and precision. In the late afternoon, Marcus heard the howling. Multiple predators, maybe 3, maybe more, were calling out to each other. The injured predator responded from its resting place, a deeper sound that Marcus interpreted as defiance. He climbed higher into the rocks to get a better view. The confrontation came an hour later. 3 other predators, slightly smaller than the injured one, approached from the eastern canyon. The injured predator stood to face them, favoring its good legs, but ready for a fight. The smaller predators were hesitant. They circled, trying to find an advantage, but the injured creature was still formidable. Still dangerous. The fight, when it came, was brutal. The injured predator fought with fury and skill, driving 2 of the attackers back. But the third caught it from the side. They went down together, rolling through the dust and stone. Blood flew. The sounds were terrible. Animal screams and impacts and the grinding of teeth. In the end, the injured predator won. It drove the 3 attackers away, but at terrible cost. One of its legs was torn open. Its side was gashed. It limped back to its resting place, and Marcus could see that it was barely moving. That night, Marcus made a decision. He took the small dead creature he had killed and prepared for his own meal. He approached the injured predator's location as darkness fell, moving slowly, making noise so the creature would know he was coming. The predator lifted its head as Marcus approached. Its eyes, huge and intelligent, focused on him. Marcus could see the wound clearly. If it got infected, if the creature could not hunt, it would die. Marcus set the dead animal down in front of the predator and backed away slowly. He did not run. He did not make sudden movements. He simply stepped back, one careful step at a time, until the injured predator was lost in the shadow. The creature did not attack. It watched him go. And in the darkness, Marcus heard it eat. The predator improved slowly. Marcus continued to bring it food, the small creatures he killed with rocks and hands. Each night, he would leave a dead animal at a distance from the creature's resting place, then back away. The predator always ate, but it did not approach Marcus. It simply waited for the human to leave before eating. By the 8th day, the creature could walk with less pain. By the 10th day, it was moving almost normally. By the 12th day, Marcus realized that his rescue was not coming. The coalition had ordered him to wait 7 days, but the rescue team had never arrived. Either something had happened to them, or the order had been changed. He was alone on Karth 7, and likely to remain alone. This knowledge should have terrified him. Instead, it motivated him. On the 15th day, Marcus did something dangerous. He did not leave his kill at a distance. He walked closer to the predator with the dead creature in his hands. The creature's body went rigid. Its eyes locked on him. Marcus could see the moment it decided whether to attack or allow the human to approach. It allowed him to approach. Marcus set the meat down 2 meters away and spoke to the creature. His voice was rough from disuse and the thin air. "I am not a threat," he said in simple English. The words sounded strange out here, foreign. "I am helping you. You understand help. You understand cooperation." The creature did not understand the words, but it understood the meaning in Marcus's body language, in his slow movements and his calm voice. It ate the meat while Marcus sat nearby, and the human did not leave. The predator finished eating and looked at Marcus. For a long moment, neither moved. Then the creature stood, limped to a cluster of rocks, and lay down to rest. The message was clear. The human could stay. Days passed. The pattern developed into routine. Marcus would hunt, kill, and bring his prey to the creature. The predator would eat while Marcus watched or sat nearby. Communication grew through repetition and simple association. When Marcus touched his own throat and made a sound, the predator understood that this was communication. When Marcus pointed at the cave where he slept, the creature seemed to understand that this was where the human belonged. The predator needed a name. Marcus called it Rax because the sound felt right, harsh, and strong. Rax did not respond to the name as a dog might. But when Marcus said it, the creature's ears would move slightly, acknowledging. Marcus began to make tools. He used stones and branches and things he found in the canyon. He made a sharp edge by striking rocks together until they broke in the right way. He made a digging stick by hardening a branch in fire. He made a carrying sling from plant fibers he twisted together. Rax watched these activities with what seemed like interest. The creature was curious about the human's strange behaviors. One day, while Marcus was exploring a deeper section of the canyon, he found something unexpected. It was a structure. Not natural stone, but built by something intelligent. The walls were aligned in straight lines, and there was an opening that had clearly been an entrance once. Marcus entered carefully, his makeshift torch burning dry plant matter. The interior was vast, carved deeper into the stone, and on a stone altar, still gleaming despite the age and dust, was a sword. The blade was not human manufacture. It was too perfect, too precisely balanced. The metal was not steel, but something harder, something that caught the light like liquid. The handle was wrapped in material that had not decayed despite whatever centuries or millennia had passed since this place was used. Marcus lifted it carefully. It was heavier than a human sword should be, but in his hands, it felt right. He brought the sword to Rax. The predator sniffed the blade, then looked at Marcus. The human tried to explain what he had found, but words were insufficient. Instead, he acted. He moved with the sword, showing Rax how it could cut, how it could defend. He used the blade to kill the small creatures they hunted, making the work faster and cleaner than rocks ever could. Then came the day. Everything changed. The other predators had ventured into Rax's territory. They were young, testing boundaries, seeking to challenge the aging dominant creature. There were 4 of them, and they moved with coordination, like they had hunted together before. Rax stood to face them, but Marcus could see the tension in the creature's body. This would be different from the earlier fight. This was multiple attackers, and they were not injured. Marcus stepped forward with the sword in his hands. The predators focused on him first. A human was not a threat, they understood. But when Marcus moved toward them with the blade gleaming, something in their instinct told them this was dangerous. 2 of them turned to face him directly. Marcus did not hesitate. He had spent days learning from watching Rax hunt. He understood timing and positioning. He killed the first predator by driving the sword through its shoulder as it lunged. The blade was so sharp that it passed through the creature's body almost without resistance. The second predator tried to circle him, but Rax attacked from the side, distracting it long enough for Marcus to strike. The remaining 2 predators ran. They abandoned the fight and retreated into the canyon system. Marcus and Rax stood among the bodies of the dead creatures, both breathing hard, both covered in blood. Rax approached Marcus. The predator was much larger than the human, powerful enough to kill him with a single bite. Instead, the creature lowered its massive head and pressed it against Marcus's chest. It was an act of acknowledgement. It was an act of alliance. "We are a team now," Marcus said, running his hand along Rax's jaw. "We are partners." Rax moved away and walked deeper into the canyon. Marcus followed, and the creature led him to a hidden cave that the human had never discovered. Inside, protected from the elements, were more items from the ancient civilization. There were tools, ornaments, and most importantly, food supplies that had been preserved somehow, sealed in containers that kept them fresh even across the ages. Marcus and Rax had found their home. More than that, they had found something neither expected. They had found family. Weeks passed. Marcus and Rax became legends in the canyon system. Other predators learned quickly to avoid them. The smaller creatures learned the sound of their movement and fled before they drew near. Marcus had time to develop his skills and Rax's understanding. He taught the predator about human weapons and tactics. He used the sword to create other tools from the supplies in the hidden cave. He fashioned armor from the rigid materials he found, protecting his vital areas. Rax taught Marcus how to survive on Kareth 7. The predator showed him which plants were safe to eat and which would kill. It taught him how to move through the canyon system without wasting energy. It showed him the water sources that tasted pure and the ones that carried poison in their depths. Rax taught him that survival was not about fighting everything. Sometimes it was about knowing when to run, when to hide, when to wait. One morning, Marcus discovered that the predator understood hand signals. He had been gesturing to Rax for weeks, pointing at locations and objects. But this time, when Marcus pointed at a distant ridge and made a specific movement, Rax responded with his own body language, indicating that he understood not just the direction but the intention. Marcus wanted to hunt. Rax agreed. They worked together that day in a way that was almost perfect. Marcus would use his speed and intelligence to locate prey in small crevices where Rax could not fit. The predator would move into open ground, forcing the creatures to flee in the direction Marcus was waiting. When the prey had nowhere to run, Rax would strike, but Marcus would be there with the sword, making the kill clean and quick. No suffering. No wasted effort. By the 3rd month, Marcus had changed. His body had adapted to Kareth 7. He was leaner, stronger, burned by the red sun until his skin was dark. His hair had grown long. His hands were calloused and scarred from work. His mind had adapted even more. He no longer thought about rescue. He no longer felt fear about being alone. He had a partner. He had purpose. He had become something between human and predator. something that belonged to this harsh world. Then the signal came. It appeared one night in the form of a light in the sky, pulsing in a pattern that Marcus recognized. It was the Coalition rescue beacon. A ship had entered the planet's atmosphere. By the next morning, the vessel was visible from the canyon rim. It was larger than the previous transport, built for heavy lifting and combat. This was not just a rescue mission. This was a military operation. Marcus stood on the canyon rim with Rax beside him. He could see soldiers moving around the landing site, setting up perimeter defenses, scanning the area. They were taking no chances. Karath 7 had proven too dangerous. They had come with weapons and armor and protocols designed for enemy engagement. A radio came to life in Marcus's hand. It was ancient technology he had found in the hidden cave, and he had spent days figuring out how to use it. The Coalition frequency came through clear. Any human personnel in the area, respond immediately. This is Captain Helena Reeves of the Coalition Rescue Command. If you are here, signal your location now. Marcus held the radio to his mouth. His voice was rough, barely used in the months on this world. This is Scout Torres. I am alive. I am in the canyon system, approximately 4 kilometers to the west. I am coming down. There was a pause. Then, Torres, what is your status? Are you injured? Are you infected with any biological agents? I am healthy. I will come down to the landing site. I have something you need to see. The hike to the landing site took 2 hours. Rax walked beside Marcus, and the human realized something important. He was not walking to rejoin human civilization. He was walking to introduce Rax to humans. He was not returning to his species. He was bringing his partner home. Captain Reeves was waiting when they descended from the canyon. The soldiers around her stood with weapons ready, but they did not fire. They could not process what they were seeing. A human, yes, but changed beyond recognition. Wild, scarred, darker than any human should be. And beside him, a massive predator that all the military briefings said was the most dangerous creature on this planet. Torres. Step away from the creature immediately, Reeves ordered. Her hand on her weapon. Marcus did not move. Instead, he placed his hand on Rax's neck, and the predator did something remarkable. The creature sat down. It lowered its head. It made itself small, less threatening, clearly demonstrating that it was not a danger to the humans. Captain, I need you to listen, Marcus said. His voice was steady and clear. This creature saved my life. I saved its life. We worked together to survive on this world. And together, we learned something that the entire coalition has been wrong about. What is that, Torres? Reeves asked carefully. Humans are not fragile, Marcus said. He lifted his left hand, showing Rax. The predator lifted its massive head and looked at the human with clear affection. We are not weak. We are adaptable. We learn. We cooperate. We find ways to survive that no other species thinks possible. And if given the chance, we can accomplish things that make powerful creatures like Rax respect us as equals. Reeves studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Get him medical attention, and get the creature sedated and contained. We will transport both of them to the Coalition headquarters. They need to see this. As the soldiers moved forward to help Marcus, he held tight to Rax's neck. The predator made no movement toward threat. It simply stood with the human, ready to face whatever came next. They had survived together on a death world. They would survive whatever the Galactic Coalition had planned as well. Marcus Torres was no longer just a human scout. He was something new. He was proof that the Coalition's understanding of humanity was incomplete. And the sword at his side, gleaming in the light of the red sun, was the symbol of that transformation. The Coalition headquarters orbited around the neutral planet, a massive station built by species from across the galaxy. Marcus had been here before, years ago when he first joined the military division. It had seemed impressive then, a place of power and technology. Now it felt sterile, artificial, a place that had forgotten what it meant to survive without comfort. Captain Reeves brought him to the central command chamber. The other leaders of the Galactic Coalition were waiting. Representatives from the Vrex, the crystalline entities who calculated everything down to mathematical precision. The Karath native species, insectoid and ancient, who controlled vast territories through superior numbers. The soulbound, energy beings who existed outside normal physics. And others, all watching as Marcus walked into the chamber. Rax was not permitted to enter. The creature was held in a special containment area, fed and cared for by Coalition scientists. Marcus had insisted on this arrangement before he would agree to the meeting. The Predator remained calm, trusting Marcus to do what was necessary. Scout Torres, the lead representative of the council, began. The being was from a species Marcus did not recognize, a creature of pure logic with no visible organs or natural shape. You have survived impossible circumstances. The Coalition wishes to understand how this was achieved. I survived because I was not alone, Marcus said simply. The Coalition abandoned me on Karath 7 because we humans were judged too fragile. But fragility is not a death sentence. It is a different way of being. We are smaller, weaker in direct physical conflict, yes. But we are observant. We are adaptable. We make tools. We communicate and form bonds. And when necessary, we survive. You survived with the aid of a dangerous predator, the Vrex representative interjected. This is not the same as demonstrating human capability. This is dependence. Marcus smiled. It was not a happy expression. I survived with Rax because I recognize something that your entire society has missed, he said. The Predator was injured, dying, unable to defend its territory or provide for itself. I could have ignored that. I could have competed with it or avoided it. Instead, I helped. I provided food until Rax recovered. And in return, the creature became my partner. This is not dependence. This is cooperation. This is the strategy that humans have used to become the dominant species on Earth, despite being far weaker than most other predators. The insectoid representative clicked and chirred in its own language. The translator rendered it to human speech. The human proposes that compassion is a survival strategy. This is irrational, is it? Marcus asked. Your species survives through absolute order and loyalty. It works for you. The soulbound survive through manipulation of fundamental forces. It works for you. My species survives by understanding that a being with a working leg is more useful than that being's corpse. It has worked for us for 10,000 years. The crystalline being that was the Vrex representative made a sound that might have been laughter or might have been the grinding of its internal structure. The human is correct. We have been illogical. We have dismissed a species based on visible weakness without accounting for adaptation and behavior. This is a statistical error in our analysis. Then I ask for something, Marcus said. He placed the ancient sword on the table before the council. I ask that humanity be given the same opportunity as any other coalition member. I ask that we be permitted to develop our own military division without restriction. And I ask that Rax be recognized as a military asset, not as a creature to be contained and studied. There was silence in the chamber. Then Reeves spoke. Scout Torres returned with intelligence regarding potential coalition expansion, she said. The ancient civilization that built the structures on Karath 7 left behind technology and knowledge. Torres has recovered samples. Additionally, Torres has demonstrated that previously classified species can be trained and integrated into military operations. This is valuable information. The arguments went on for hours, but Marcus could see the momentum shifting. The coalition was pragmatic. If humans could survive impossible circumstances and form alliances with dangerous creatures, then humans were assets. If there was knowledge to be gained and territory to be claimed, then humanity was useful. By the time Marcus left the chamber, the decision was effectively made. Humanity would be given expanded military roles. Special operations would focus on human qualities that other species lacked. And Rax would be classified not as a specimen, but as a trained military unit under Marcus's command. When Marcus was reunited with Rax in the containment area, the creature made a sound of relief. Its massive head rubbed against Marcus's chest, and the human stroked the predator's jaw. There was no need for words. They understood each other. That night, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the Coalition station, looking out at the stars. Rax was beside him, a dark shape against the void of space. They had come far from the red canyons of Kareth 7. They had survived death, learned each other's language, and changed the entire direction of the Galactic Coalition's approach to human potential. "We did it," Marcus said to the Predator. "We survived. We thrived. We proved them all wrong." Rax made a low rumbling sound, a sound Marcus had learned to interpret as agreement and contentment. In the days that followed, the Coalition released the story to the public. The tale of Scout Marcus Torres, abandoned on a death world, who survived through intelligence and courage and returned, wielding the sword of an ancient civilization with a massive predator as his ally. It became legend quickly. Every human in the Coalition military received the story as inspiration. Every species that heard it reconsidered their assumptions about humans and survival. Marcus and Rax were assigned to a new division focused on special operations in hostile environments. They trained other humans and coordinated with creatures from across the Coalition that could be trusted to cooperate. They became teachers as well as warriors. They showed that impossible things were possible when species stopped judging each other based on strength alone. Years later, when the historians would write about the moment humanity came of age in the Galactic Coalition, they would point to Scout Torres and his predator ally. They would point to the moment when the Coalition realized that survival was not about being the strongest. It was about being willing to stand with others, to help when helping was risky, to grow beyond the limits that other species thought defined you. Marcus Torres and Rax had accomplished all of this simply by refusing to die alone on a red world, by choosing to reach out to a dying creature, and by deciding that partnership mattered more than the species barrier between them. In the end, the sword was not what had returned Marcus home. It was the decision to stand together in the face of overwhelming odds. And that decision would echo through the galaxy for generations to come.